Hello and welcome to my channel, Knotty Gnome Crafts. My name is Sarah and you can find me as Knotty Gnome on Instagram. If you are a new or returning viewer, thanks so much for joining me today, and we're going to talk about my fall and winter knitting plans. If you watched my previous video where I showed off my collection of hand knit sweaters, and if you missed it, I'll link that up above in the cards, I had talked about how my style has evolved over the years, and a lot of the sweaters that I currently own don't really match that well with my style anymore. And a lot of that has to do with silhouettes. In previous years, I was wearing more skinnier pants with longer tops. And so I had long open front cardigans and like long tunic length sweaters. But now I'm gravitating much more towards high-waisted pants and skirts, or even more dresses. So I would like my sweaters to be more cropped, that I could wear. I can still layer things, but they're not quite as bulky perhaps as some of my other sweaters. So those are kind of the directions that I'm trending in. And also just, I haven't knit a lot of sweaters in recent years, and so I would kind of just like to get some new things and refresh my collection and kind of just get some more variety in my fall and winter wardrobe. So I tried to be a little bit realistic about how many garments that I think I'll be able to knit throughout the fall and winter. I think I have it pretty much narrowed down that the absolute maximum number of sweaters that I could finish in one 6-month season as far as fall and winter goes is probably 4. And I think that a much more realistic proposition is maybe 2 or 3. So I'm going to show you a bunch of different yarns and some different ideas, and but nothing is written in stone. These are just sort of ideas that I'm thinking about. I'm definitely open to feedback as far as whether you think that I should make one thing over another. But yeah, realistically, I don't think that I'm going to be able to complete all of these, but it's just fun to come up with ideas and try to match up some plans for things that are already in my stash. So yeah, let's just get started. I think I'm going to start out with some of the smaller projects. So one of the things that I was thinking about making this winter is a sweater vest. If you follow fashion trends at all, then you will know that sweater vests are very much in this season, and all different types of vests, whether they're oversized or fitted or textured or color work or stripes, it's just pretty much anything goes. And the reason I was thinking about adding a vest to my collection, I actually do not own any sweater vests at all right now, is because the statement sleeve is going really strong. And in last year, I had a bunch of statement sleeve tops, and I actually found it really difficult to wear them in the fall and winter because it's just hard to stuff those sleeves inside of a cardigan or a jacket. And so I was thinking, if I made a sweater vest, I could layer it over other pieces, whether that's a top or even a dress that has statement sleeves. You could still be warm and cozy on your core, but it wouldn't get in the way of the sleeve. So that's kind of my reasoning for why I wanted to knit a vest. And I have a couple of different options. I'm not sure which one I'm going to pick, but we'll just talk about it. So the first thing I was thinking about was doing a more neutral, more practical, pull-on sweater vest. I will insert an inspiration picture. I think this is from the Nordstrom website. And I'm not looking to make an exact copy of this, but just sort of along the lines. I really liked the idea of a simple cable or a simple texture on the main body of the vest, and then having that little pop of contrasting color in the ribbing with the striped bands. I think that that's just a really interesting and cute detail and keeps it basic without being too boring. So for the yarn that I pulled, it's this Drops Flora. It's been in my stash for a number of years. I've never actually used this yarn before. The content is 65% wool and 35% alpaca. It's a fingering weight. And although I'm just showing you these 2 skeins, I actually have 4 of each color because originally I had bought this to make a color work cowl, but I just have so many neck accessories that I don't even wear that I don't need anymore. So I was thinking I could repurpose this yarn for a vest, and I think that it would be really nice to use this sort of oatmeal beigey color for the main body of the sweater and then use the black for the contrast. And it would be, like I said, a neutral thing that I could wear with lots of different tops, but it would have this little pop of interest with the contrasting color. So that's option number 1 for the vest. Option number 2 for the vest is less practical, but it's more fun. So another thing that is trending for this season is bright colors. And I gotta be honest, I'm not typically a bright color person, but because of that, I have lots and lots of neutral items in my wardrobe that I thought it might be fun to actually add a piece that has a nice pop of color as sort of a change of pace. And yes, it's not gonna go with absolutely everything in my wardrobe, but I do have enough neutral shirts and tops and dresses that I think that I could still wear this. So my idea for this one is I have 2 skeins of this Merino Superwash Sock Twist in Black from Cloudborn Fibres. This was the Craftsy brand, and I'm pretty sure I bought this right when Craftsy was discontinuing their yarns and fabrics. So I picked up 2 skeins of this in black, and I specifically got these to pair with this mini skein set that is in these neon colors. And there are 6 mini skeins, and it's 540 yards total of 75% superwash and 25% nylon. So there's plenty of yardage with these combined to make a sweater vest. And as far as design goes, there's so many options that I'm not even sure what I would want to do. I could do simple stripes. I could do like a chevron pattern, sort of like a Missoni inspired design, or I could do some sort of lace pattern, like a feather and fan. That would look really interesting with the different colors. Or I could do stranded color work. So kind of the sky's the limit as far as options go for that. Let me know in the comments if you have any ideas of what you think I should do with those neon skeins and the black. I just think that those 2 things paired together would make a really striking sweater vest. And like I said, it would not be a piece that I would wear every single day, but I think that it would be super fun. So the next thing I want to add to my wardrobe is another cardigan. So in my previous video, when I talked about my cardigans, pretty much none of the cardigans that I currently own match the style that I want to be heading towards. So I'm really looking to add more cardigans that button up the front, that you can wear them closed, like as more of a top, or you can leave them open and layer them over other things. I'm thinking of cropped sweaters, probably like V-neck, and maybe just some interesting texture. So I have this skein of Wollmeise lace, and it's partially, I knit some of it and I changed my mind about what I was going to do with it, so I ripped it out. But I do still have the full skein here, and I don't remember the exact yardage, but I think I have like 1,500 yards of this yarn. And although it is lace, I would say it's really more of a light fingering weight. It's not super, super thin as far as lace weight yarns go. So I was thinking that I could make a lace cardigan, and I don't have a specific pattern in mind. I will probably end up making up something myself. But yeah, I was kind of thinking just sort of a deep V-neck with an all-over lace pattern, maybe have slightly puffy sleeves. You know, kind of the Cezanne look. If you're familiar with their cardigans, I'll try to insert an inspiration pic, and just something along those lines I think would layer really well. Red is my favorite color, and so it would definitely go with a lot of things in my wardrobe. And I do already have a red cardigan, but it's definitely a different style than what I'm thinking of for this one. So I don't see anything wrong with having multiple cardigans in my favorite color as part of my wardrobe. So the next project that I was considering is a colorwork sweater. So I have the Tin Can Knits book Strange Brew, and I've made one sweater from it, but there's just so many patterns in there that I absolutely love. And there's one that actually is called Strange Brew that is more of a recipe where you can make any sort of colorwork, pullover, or cardigan that you want. And then they give you several different motifs that you can mix and match and just kind of design your own sweater. That is probably the one that I'm going to use. And I have these yarns that I got. I'm pretty sure I got this at Rhinebeck. It might have been Maryland Sheep and Wool, but I think it was Rhinebeck. And sorry, it's really hard to show them to you, but it's O Wool, O Wash Sport. And the main color that I got is called Silver Maple. I got 2 skeins of this, and then just 1 skein of the contrasting colors. So this one is Mustard Seed. This one is Brook Trout. And then this one is Pearly Mussel. So I'll just pick up one of the grays. So when you put them all together, I think that this is a really interesting and fun color combination. And what I was thinking about is doing like some sort of colorwork design on the yoke, and then maybe just like a very simple texture for the body, and then another colorwork band at the towards the hem of the sweater before the ribbing, and then also mimicking that on the sleeve, so you have a little bit of colorwork on the wrist as well. And yeah, like I said, I'm not going to get to all of these projects that I'm talking about, but this is kind of what I've been thinking about, and I would really like to make this one, I think, this winter. So the final project that I have to show you is actually somewhat of a two-parter. So I have been wanting to make an undyed, heavily cabled, like Aran, like classic traditional Aran sweater forever. I'm going to put up an inspiration pic. It's the Chris Evans sweater from Knives Out. If you've watched that movie, it's a great movie, but I love that sweater. And just something like that, like something that is like thick and crew neck and bulky and heavily cabled. It never goes out of style. If I had a sweater like that in my wardrobe, I would keep it forever. And I don't have a sweater like that. I'm kind of surprised at myself that I've never actually made myself a sweater like that, because it is so my style. And I do not have yarn currently in my stash that would work for a sweater like that. So I had been looking online trying to find a yarn that I liked, and there was just, it's kind of like the Goldilocks problem, where there's just little things about all these yarns I was considering that I just didn't quite like about it. And then I got the idea, well, why don't I just spin my own? So I went to Paradise Fibers this past week, and I bought 1.5 pounds of Falkland wool top. If you're not familiar with Falkland, it's a medium soft wool. I'd say that when you spin up the yarn, it's going to be similar to like a wool of the Andes or Cascade 220 type of yarn, maybe just slightly softer than that. But, you know, kind of like your basic garden variety wool. And color-wise, I'd say it's not super creamy. I'd say it's almost more of like kind of a grayed out undyed color. And I'm totally fine with that. I think that's a good color for me. So I am planning to, once I finish with the bond fiber that I'm currently working on, I'm going to spin this entire 1.5 pounds of fiber up into a 3-ply yarn. And I am not going to choose a pattern or design my own pattern ahead of time. I'm just going to spin the yarn as a 3-ply, see how much yardage I have when I'm done, see how thick it is, and then go from there as far as deciding on a pattern. Because while you can deliberately spin for a certain thickness and weight of yarn and like yardage, it's a lot harder to do it that way. At least in my world, it's simpler to just spin the yarn first and then pick a pattern. So that's what I'm going to do. Because this is a sweater spin, it's going to be very time consuming. So I'm actually thinking that it's going to take me the entire winter probably to just spin the yarn. So I will not be knitting this sweater this season, but as I said, in my head, what I want is just your classic Aran type sweater that I will have forever. And so it doesn't really matter if I don't get it done this year, I can just knit it next year. So those are my fall and winter knitting and spinning plans. Let me know in the comments what you think that I should start first, because I'm honestly a little bit crippled as far as trying to figure out what I should cast on. Right now I'm just working on my crochet granny blanket, trying to get that finished up, and then when it's done, I think I will go ahead and start on my next sweater project. So I would love to hear your vote in the comments of what you think I should do first. And let me know if there's anything you think that I missed, if there's a pattern or, I don't know, just something that you think is really in this season that I should make for myself. I'd love to hear from you. If you liked this video, I hope that you will hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you next time.